what we're trying to accomplish, whatever our goals are, objectives, as long as we stay in the game, we're going to find success. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week. It might not even be next month. But if we stay in the game, success is guaranteed. If you quit, the guarantee is you fail.
Hi, I'm Devon Harris. Welcome to Keep On Pushing TV, where we share ideas and insights that are going to challenge you and inspire you to keep on pushing and live your absolute best life. So welcome. If you haven't done so yet, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below. In fact, give us a like as well, because it helps to grow the channel. We'd really love to get your help on that. In this episode, I get to hang out with speaker and humorist Joel Zeff. He started his professional career as a newspaper journalist and a public relations executive, but soon found the stage with his interactive, hilarious performances. Joel believes that organizations and individuals should celebrate everyday successes in order to increase collaboration, productivity, passion, and innovation. So enjoy.
This is Keep On Pushing TV with Devon Harris.
Hey, Joel, it's so great to have you. Welcome to Keep On Pushing.
Thank you, Devon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Mr. Tada. It's awesome to connect. So you believe in, you practice, you talk about celebrating. And I believe in celebrating our successes. But tell me, Joel, in what ways do you think celebration increases, productivity and innovation, collaboration, and so on?
Well, when I started speaking, my background, I had two backgrounds. I had a journalism business background, and then I had this improvisational comedy background. And I found a way to combine the two. And so I was talking about the choices that improv taught me, and it kind of filtered through my business experience. And part of when I started speaking, my kids were, when I first started speaking, I didn't have kids. But a few years later, and I had kids, everything was a celebration. Everything was a ta-da. When they're little, everything they do is a big ta-da. They eat a cheese sandwich, ta-da! They do a little drawing, ta-da! Everything, we celebrated everything they did, and that fueled their energy. They wanted to do more. And so I kind of took that energy, that ta-da energy, and kind of put it together with what I was talking about, the choices of improv. And that celebration is that energy, that positive support. And in improvisation, when we perform, that applause, that laughter fueled us. The more we laugh, the more laughter and applause we got as performers, the more we wanted to do, the more creative, the more risks we took, the better we performed as teammates, as leaders. We created more because we were receiving that positive energy. And that ta-da is part of that. Most people don't get a round of applause at their jobs. I have a job where I get a round of applause. It's pretty awesome. We still need that energy. Everybody deserves that positive round of applause. And if you don't have a job where you get a round of applause, then you have to give it yourself. So whether it's a round of applause to kind of key that energy up, or it's that big ta-da, it fuels us. It keeps our energy up and our passion. And what that means is innovation, success, better teamwork, more exciting leadership. That's what we're after.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as you mentioned your kids and how you celebrated every little success. And, it got me to thinking back to when my kids were growing up. And you're absolutely right. Even as they're older, and they hit the honor roll, like we just had a cause for celebration for my two daughters who just hit the honor roll.
And that's a big celebration, but we have to celebrate everything, little things as we work. All these celebrations keep that energy going.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems what I'm hearing from you, and I think it's true, that as we grow older, though, we kind of lose, I guess, the desire to applaud others, and we kind of get accustomed to not being celebrated the way we were celebrated when we were younger.
You are absolutely right. As we get older, it takes more and more for us to have that ta-da, and that affects us, right? Especially at work. We had to wait once a year for an awards presentation. We don't get enough appreciation in our work lives, and if we don't have that appreciation, what are we going to create? Are we going to be the best that we can be? Are we going to be able to deal with change effectively? Are we going to be a great teammate? Are we going to be able to take care of the customer, take care of our team? We need that ta-da, and we can't just wait for it. And we can't just rely on leaders. Everybody needs to be creating that ta-da energy, that positive support, because that's our fuel. We want to keep our passion up and our stress down. And to keep that passion up, we need that fuel.
Passion up, stress down. I've watched videos of you on stage, and you are just bouncing off the walls, basically. Is that how you are normally?
That's a really good question. I get that question a lot. No, because people would think I was just just nuts, right? You have to. I kind of save up that energy before I performed. Before I had that outlet, I was probably more like that. It was, I just had this, this energy, this starburst that would just constantly finding a way, an outlet. And once I found that outlet in performing, when I first started doing stand-up and then improvisational comedy, and then of course speaking, it directed that energy. And so, I kind of use up that energy when I'm on stage, and then most of the time, I kind of come down a little more. That spirit, that I come down a little more
because
normal. I'm too wound up when I perform. It'd be too much. People would stay away from me, Devin. People wouldn't even talk to me if I was like that all the time.
Sure. So you mentioned that you had 2 careers, and for a minute I'm like, man, he's almost sounding Jamaican. What's going on here? With multiple jobs. But so you're improv, and were you a newspaper reporter?
I did. That was my degree, journalism, newspaper. I was a newspaper reporter. I'm very proud of that. And then I went into advertising and marketing and PR. And in 1991, I lost my job as a newspaper reporter. The newspaper closed, and so I had a lot of free time. I was single, and I had a severance check. So that's like just perfect, right?
That's a single guy's dream world there.
Yeah, it is perfect. And so I started doing stand-up. I found a club and I started doing stand-up. I took a couple workshops about improvisation, and I kind of found my calling, and it just kind of progressed. And
what
I
sparked that
auditioned.
interest initially, Joel, to go from, newspaper reporter to marketing to, hey, I think I want to do improv.
Comedy. Yeah. When I first moved to Dallas, a friend of mine that worked at the newspaper took me to an improv comedy club. And I at that time, I didn't really know. I had been to an improv show, but I wasn't really familiar with what improv was. And so they took me to a show, and it was just like, oh, I mean, it was kind of like a Disney movie, like where the light just kind of shines on the main character, and you're like, oh, it was eye-opening. It was a magical experience, because I realized that's what I wanted to do, and now I just got to figure out how to do it. And so I always was interested in comedy. I did a stand-up comedy routine in 8th grade at the 8th grade talent show, where I just did impressions of teachers. I can't believe I wasn't expelled, but apparently, but I did stand-up and I did comedy, and that was always part of me. And when I went to college, I had these two, there was kind of 2 personalities. There was the very responsible business, I need a career, personality, and that kind of focused on journalism, and then went into advertising, PR. But at the same time, I had this love of comedy, this love of performing, and I found a way to combine the 2 years in the mid 90s. So after I was a newspaper reporter, when the paper closed, I said, well, I have a lot of free time. So I started doing comedy, started doing stand-up around town, and going to open mics, taking workshops with the improv group. And then I got invited to be part of the group. At the same time I was doing that, the responsible personality, I got a job at a PR agency and then an ad agency. And so it's kind of these two very diverse directions, right? And I found a way for them to come together when one of my PR clients, Texas Instruments, was having a retreat, an executive retreat. And they said, hey, we know on the weekend you do improv. Can you come up and do some improv with us before dinner? And I was like, really? And so it was all VP level, all men, right? And technology people. So if you're like, hey, what could be the worst audience that you could put together? You would create this.
Yeah.
It ended up, they had a blast. I took another guy with me. We played improv games. We had no idea what we were going to do. We were just throwing stuff up at the wall. They had an awesome time. More importantly, I had an awesome time. And I said, I could offer this to other clients. It's that kind of finding that opportunity. When opportunity knocks, answer the door, right? That's the cliche. And it was really literally smacked me in the face. And I said, well, maybe I could offer this to other clients. But I never thought it was going to be a career. And just like anything, you do a great job, people come and find you. Your name gets passed around. And so I was doing more and more. And it basically, at that time, I was on my own doing PR and marketing as my own business. And it just kept taking over more and more of my business. And about 1999, 2000, it had really taken over my business, doing improv as a keynote, as working with corporate clients, associations, healthcare, schools, using improv to talk about teamwork, leadership, change, passion. And all of a sudden, a new career was born. And that's the story.
Yeah, that's it's interesting because let's talk, to those people who find themselves in a career that it's not necessarily a dead end. They may be achieving some success, but they're not necessarily totally fulfilled.
Yep.
And I don't know that you were not necessarily fulfilled as a newspaper reporter. They kind of invited you to go elsewhere. But you came into this new field, of comedy and improvisation, and hence a speaker. Apart from just kind of, you said it found you. I guess things fell in place that allowed you to kind of blossom in this area.
Well, I put myself in the right position to take advantage of that opportunity. And, I was on a path because I had discovered something that I truly loved, comedy and improv. And I was going down that path, and I didn't know where that path was going to take me. I just knew I loved what I was doing. And I didn't really necessarily care whether I got paid for it or not. Sometimes you'd get a little money, sometimes you'd get a gift card, sometimes you'd, get nothing. I remember when I first started speaking, if somebody gave me a sweatshirt or a paperweight clock, I was thrilled. I was like, are you kidding me? Right? If somebody gave me like a Chili's gift card, I was like, oh my God, I'm rich in Chili's gift cards, baby. That was it. I was like, they gave me $50 in Chili's gift cards and a sweatshirt to play improv games with them. That's true, because I loved what I was doing. And I tell people all the time, when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, figure out what you would do for free and focus on that you love so much, something that you love so much that you don't really care whether you get paid or not. Now, you obviously want to get paid. You want to make a living, but something you love so much, money's not the first thing. You're not concerned about how much you're making. You're not concerned about what your salary is, what the benefits are. All you're concerned about is that you get to be this, or you get to do this. And when you kind of start going down that path, all of a sudden opportunity is created, doors open. And some of them you create yourself, and some of them just by the circumstances. I loved improv. One of my PR clients, Texas Instruments, knew I did improv on the weekend. So an opportunity was created. Hey, come play improv games with our team. And then next thing you know, somebody mentions it to somebody else. I say it to somebody else. I do this job, which creates another job, which creates another job. At that point, I'm still not thinking this is a career. I'm still not thinking this is going to be a big piece of pie. This is just something fun to do because I love it. And you got to take those first steps. And that first step, you take those first steps, all of a sudden you've gone a mile, then you've gone 10 miles, then you've gone 20, and you turn around, you realize how far you've come and what you've accomplished and what you've done, and more opportunities are created because you're putting that energy, you're putting your energy into it, you're putting your effort into it.
Yeah, it's and you hear it all the time, and it does sound like a cliche, but it's so true. You do the things that you love. Now I get it that we all live in the real world, and as you say, people want to get paid. They have to earn a living. They need to
Yep.
put food on the table and a roof over their head. But if you can figure out how to monetize that which you love, then it becomes easier. I don't want to give the impression that it's easy, because
No, it's work. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely work. You're absolutely right. And it's, but focus on the industries that you love. There's multi-billion-dollar industries in everything. You've got to figure out what you love to do and find your way, whether you love sports or you love like my brother-in-law. I remember having a conversation with him when he graduated school years ago about what he wanted to do. He was working at a bank and he wasn't fulfilled. And my wife and I were talking to him about, what do you love to do? What do you love to do? And hunting. He loved to hunt and he loved to work out. Well, there's two huge industries right there. So go toward what you love to do and figure out there's a job there for you. There's an opportunity for you. He ended up starting his own gym, and I think it just celebrated its 10th anniversary, or might even be 10 or 12 years later, because he followed what he loved to do.
indeed, indeed. So, you talk about taking ownership and responsibility for your own happiness and your own success, which I so dig as well. I believe that. Um, Most people don't, though, Joel. They blame fate, they blame circumstances, they blame everybody else. What is the key, you think, to um, taking that personal responsibility?
I think it's really choice. And improv is all about choices. Improv is about, for those in your audience that may not be familiar with improvisation, there's no script, there's no rehearsal, there's no plan. Everything happens right there in real time. So it's all about choices, right? Choices. You're trying to choose, what you want to do. You're choosing what you're saying. You're choosing what's happening. And so when you're making those choices, right, you're trying to find success as a team. You're trying to find success. You're meeting your objective, which is to make the audience laugh or to create something. And so just like when we talk about career, it is all choices. What are your choices? And is everything going to happen in one day? No. Is everything going to happen in a week? No. It's taking those little steps, and you realize how far you've come. You realize you do a little something each day to move the goal forward to where you want to be, to what you want to do. And, figuring that out and moving toward that is part of the process, and it takes time. One of my key messages that I talk about is staying in the game. Improv taught me you can do anything you want in improv. You can make a mistake. You can say something stupid. I've done it many, many times. I've probably already done it today with you, Devon, right?
I'm actually keeping count.
Are you keeping count? I'm sure. I make mistakes all the time. You got to own them. You got to own those mistakes. And you know what? You're going to make mistakes. That's what improv is about. You can't be afraid to make those mistakes. You learn from them and you move forward. And the key message there is to stay in the game. If you stay in the game, you're going to find a way to be successful in improvisation. You're going to find a way. Somebody says something that doesn't work. Somebody says something that didn't make sense or went off track. But if you stay in the game, you're going to find a way for that game to be successful. And you take it to our work lives, what we're trying to accomplish, whatever our goals are, objectives. As long as we stay in the game, we're going to find success. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week. It might not even be next month. But if we stay in the game, success is guaranteed. If you quit, the guarantee is you fail. And I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying we quit goals, initiatives, challenges. If we quit, you're guaranteed you failed. If you stay in the game, success is there. And that means you have to learn something new or get out of your comfort zone or work harder. But it is there if you want it. You just have to stay in the game.
You know,
And you're a perfect example of that, Devon.
Yeah, well, you know, you said a couple
That's
of
a
things
perfect
that I
example.
just have to, I feel like I need to unpack, man, because it's so true. You know, earlier you talk about uh, opportunities and the fact that you have to work them, because the challenge is a lot of people, when they hear the word opportunities, they think in terms of, hey, this is a gift that I just need to unwrap and enjoy the contents therein. And what you're saying is, certainly in your life, the opportunity to become to do improv appeared, and then to do improv and speaking appeared, so to speak, but it involved work, and then you had to kind of stay in the game.
It involved a lot of work. I mean, I was doing stand-up at least four times a week. Sometimes we do multiple shows. We'd go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I would take workshops at the same time. I've done stand-up on a beach. I've done stand-up in a parking lot. I've done stand-up on a porch. You name the bad location. I've done coffee houses and back of bars and performing improv and stand-up and improv. Thousands and thousands. I've probably done, we're talking thousands and thousands of stand-up shows and thousands of improv shows. And they're not all in a beautiful theater with an adoring crowd. They're in a parking lot or a porch that somebody called an amphitheater.
Completely. We talk about life and the fact that you have to have a vision, you have to have, goals and create plans. But as I was listening to you talk about improv, it struck me that there's a big part of life that is all about improvisation, that we're really making it up as we go. And the key to succeed at this particular improv game that we call life is to stay in the game, as you're pointing out.
Yep. I mean, you nailed it. We're all improvising. We all have choices. We're trying to make the best choice possible. That's the key. Improv is all about trying to make the best choice possible, not being afraid to make a mistake, and being confident, and really trying to create opportunity for each other. Another big aspect of improv, because you're not doing it by yourself, you're doing it with a team, is that you're helping each other be successful. You're helping all the people around you, asking that question every day. How do I help the people around me be successful? And answering that question and acting on it.
So one of the things you spoke about was the fact that, in the improv game, if you quit, the only time you fail is if you quit. And
right.
It's one of those messages that I deliver as a speaker, about persistence, about our ability to keep on pushing, that, you will fail, you'll have setbacks, you will miss the mark. But the only time you truly fail is when you give up, is when you quit.
Right.
On pursuing the dream.
That's why I love talking to speakers like you, is that, we have different backgrounds, but so much of what made each of us successful in our own worlds are the exact same things, right? We may use different words, but it's the exact same message. And it's so cool for audiences to see people, I come from this improvisational background. You come from, a sport background, but the same skills that made each of us successful in our own fields, they're the same. We're not trying, neither one of us are reinventing the wheel here, but we're just trying to tell people our experience. And, some people respond to this and some people respond to that. But the more they hear, hey, here's how this person did it, here's how this person, the same messages of staying in the game and not quitting and helping your team be successful and creating opportunity. Everybody has these same, they might use different words, but it's the same key points.
And I think what you're illustrating is the fact that success principles are universal. And so what happens Both of us are speakers. In my world and your world are the same if we apply the principles, but it means then that because they are universal principles, somebody can apply them in their world and achieve, let's say, similar results, achieve successful results because the principles are eternal.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether they're in sales or leadership or management, or marketing or HR or IT or accounting, you name it, it applies.
Yeah.
We're all trying to find our way, and we're all trying to find success. We're all trying to be passionate and be happy. I hope. I'm not really interested if you're not.
Absolutely, I agree. No, just use the word leadership, and I think of the companies that we both work with. Obviously, we are working to impact them in very different ways. And I speak all the time about the fact that we are leaders in our own right. So you're on stage and you're leading these improvised games.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
how willing are your participants, first of all? So are they really interested in having fun? And what kind of impact do you think you are making through the lessons you're teaching?
Now, Devin, now I have to remember back when I did live events. Remember that? Those
Oh, yes,
good
we need to
times.
talk about that. Yes.
We got to remember back when we did live events. That was fun. So back when I did live events and had people come up on stage and do improvisational games with me, it was awesome because um, I asked for volunteers. Sometimes I would have to pick somebody, but they were all successful. Probably in the thousands and thousands of people that came up and joined me for improvisation game. And I've done, I don't know, 2,200 corporate events, something in that range, maybe more. It's not like I counted them, but somewhere around that range. I could probably, maybe a couple who were probably inebriated and just quit early in my career when I realized you shouldn't have drunk people come up on stage with you, which is pretty much a key, should be a t-shirt.
Exactly.
Don't have drunk people come on stage with you. But now when I do virtual, I kind of talk about, yeah, I certainly, we do tada and we do some other things, but I talk about the choices that we did in these improv games and seeing all these team members and associates and audience members play these improv games and making the same choices, and the choices that I share in these virtual events with energy and fun, and the choice of, we talk about teamwork, helping each other be successful. We talk about creating opportunity and the importance of the tada and the positive support to fuel us, and certainly how we deal with change and disruption, right? Because we're all dealing with tremendous amount of change and disruption, and improv is constant change and disruption, and it's giving you choices, and improv is teaching you how to be effective within that change, within that disruption, as a team, as an individual, how to be innovative, how to be a great teammate, how to be a great leader, just by making certain choices. And I kind of really focus on just making these easy choices, being prepared for change, being open and flexible within change, and being present and in the moment with your team, with the people you're working with when you're in change and disruption, to help each other be successful.
Yeah, what I speak all the time, and obviously it's true that none of us are getting through this global pandemic brought on by COVID-19 unscathed, right? We are all impacted in some way, shape, or form, some obviously more significantly than others. And I think our industry is, and you and I are perfect examples of that, where we were accustomed to jetting across the country and around the world a little bit, and speaking to huge audiences, and now we are, for want of a better term, relegated to a Zoom call, a webinar.
Yeah. And we have to make our own lunch, Devin. There's no buffet. Oh
Exactly.
boy,
You know what?
man, I miss the
That's
buffet.
perhaps the most hurtful part.
Oh, especially when they had like the chef make like certain special things.
Yeah.
Man, nobody
But
talks about the food.
but here's the thing though, Joel. In the same way that we are talking to our audiences about the need to be innovative and adaptable and flexible, uh, in the way that we are pivoting our businesses, we are demonstrating the importance and need to be innovative and adaptable and to embrace change and recognize that, yeah, you always have a choice, as we were discussing before. Um, how different, if you can describe that, is, you know, presenting a tada moment via Zoom compared to being on stage?
It's actually, I've transitioned quite easily, and I think people are just, they're hungry for anybody on a Zoom call that has energy, anybody on a Zoom call that understands how to talk to a camera, anybody that can translate some fun through Zoom or WebEx or Teams or you name it. I've been all of them. And so it's the transition for me has been easy. I miss the applause. I miss the live. I miss the laughter. I miss that energy. And you just kind of have to, in my mind, you're just like, oh, I'm getting that energy. I mean, they're all sitting at home laughing and applauding. And I'm just in my mind, I'm hearing it. And you just kind of create that energy, and people are hungry for it. They need that motivation. They need that breath of energy and fun and spirit and passion. And people are whether it's I've done 10 minutes and 30 minutes and 20 minutes. You've done the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so and whether I'm doing it here in my home office studio or I've had the opportunity to go to a studio 2 or 3 times to and people are just now figuring out, I think, these virtual events. And I always say we're in the AOL sending you a CD disc time frame of virtual events. That's where we are. We're in dial up. We're in
yeah.
and you're in an AOL chat room. That's where we are. In the timeline of these virtual events. Think where we're going to be in 6 months or a year. And I'm not saying the pandemic is going to last that long, but I don't think virtual events are going to go away. When the pandemic is over, virtual events are going to be a part of the communication process, part of the marketing process, whether they're a hybrid event, whether they're in addition to live events. I don't think they're going to go away. Some events are going to be virtual instead of live. Some events are going to stay live. Some are going to be a hybrid. They're not going away. And yesterday I did an event where I was speaking, and it was in a virtual world. It was like you're in a computer game and you created an avatar, and you're in it's like my son plays Minecraft. It was like Minecraft, except there were no zombies, right? And you weren't building something, but you're in this world, in this virtual world, and you can go up to talk to people. You're an avatar, they're an avatar. It was really, the innovation is just now starting, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens next.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The virtual meetings are going to be part of the meeting landscape for sure. So it kind of takes us full circle, I think, to our conversation, because we started out talking about celebration. And as we enter into this virtual world, you and I can do our presentations. The worker working remotely can do their jobs, and while you may feel a sense of success, there's an element that's missing, and it is the spontaneous celebration of the performance. And you may and I may create a mind game and go, yep, they're this is when they would normally cheer, and they're cheering.
I am awesome. Every time, every virtual event, I am just awesome. You are too, Devon. You are too. You're awesome too.
And nobody turned off the screen, so you're like, yeah, cool. What advice do you have for Joe Schmokes, Mary Jane, who is home, busting it out just as hard as he or she would in the office, but not necessarily getting that immediate feedback?
We in this change and disruption, obviously, where a lot of us are working differently. I've always worked from home, and so I worked from home for since the mid 90s. So I was used to it. but then I would leave and go and be with an audience of people, and I would get that interaction and that connection. I don't even have that now. I just have the Zoom. Thank goodness you called me today, Devon, or I wouldn't have been
It would have been
able
a
to talk
long
to
day,
anybody.
man. Yeah.
But you got to make that connection, right? And if you're working from home, you've got to keep those connections, whether it's, you know, via Zoom or taking a walk, or but you've got to reach out. You can't just wait for somebody to reach out to you. You've got to reach out to them and have those connections. And you know, I was on I did an event for a client. They did a team meeting. There was 40 or 50, and you know, there was some really creative things that you can do on these calls that kind of bring us together. My client, they had everybody grab something from their home office, because they're all working at home, grab something from their home office that, you know, really connects to them or inspires them, and share with the group why this item means so much to them. And, you know, and so it was a show and tell for adults, basically, right? Remember when we were kids and we had show and tell? It was show and tell, and it was so rewarding. It was so inspiring, because you're making that connection, and each person talked for, you know, 90 seconds, you know, to talk about their item and why it meant so much to them. And so you connected more with that person, you learned more about that person. And in the end, that helps all of us make that connection, keep that connection with each other. And it also is important because it fuels us. That's, you know, that inspiration fuels us, that connection fuels us. And we remember when we talked about tada and passion and energy, we got to have that fuel, and we get that fuel many different ways. And that's just one of them.
Yeah. So I know you're able to finally put that journalism degree to work, and you wrote a book.
I did. I made words.
Talk to us about that. Yes.
I made words, Devon. And actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. The book is past fall, 13 years. It came out in 2007. What? I gotta write another book, Devon. Make the Right Choice. It's called Make the Right Choice: Creating a Positive, Innovative, and Productive Work Life. And it's still available on Amazon, or fine books are sold, or used books, or just connect with me and I got a couple copies. But it focuses on my messages, the messages of improvisation, the message I talk about when I speak. And I need to write another book, Devon. I need to write another book.
You should put that journalism.
I should get. I wish I had some time to just be at home. I wish that. Wait, I think I do. I think I have time. Devon, I have not used my time wisely.
You are at home, aren't you?
Yeah. You've written a book, haven't you, Devon?
I've written 2, and I don't even have a journalism degree. See, maybe I should write another one.
It's hard.
I'm home too.
Yeah. You gotta see. Here's the problem with the journalism degree, is that you're taught to write on deadline, right? You have to have somebody breathing down your neck, and usually newspaper editors would be using choice words as they're breathing down your neck to get the copy. And so if I don't have that deadline, it's hard for me to write. I need that. That's what journalism, spending so much time working for newspapers, I'm used to a deadline. And now when I don't have a deadline, it's like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. Cool.
I got to work on it. I'm on it, Devon. I'm on it.
All right. So tomorrow, though, or the day after, somebody may want you to come in and share your tada moments, your ideas around making the right choice and celebrating life every single day. How would they find you?
Just real easy. Now it's so easy nowadays, right? If you can't, it's just joelzeff.com is my website, but you can find me on LinkedIn, just Joel Zeff. And then you can find me on Facebook too, the Joel Zeff, at the Joel Zeff on Facebook. Just put there's 3 Joel Zeffs on Facebook, Devon. And so if you want to find me, it's pretty easy to figure out which one I am. But if you want to go and find me, the Joel Zeff, joelzeff.com, it's pretty easy to find me.
joelzeff.com, the Joel Zeff on Facebook, and Joel Zeff on LinkedIn. That's where you find Mr. Tada himself. Hey, Joel, This has been awesome, and I've really enjoyed our time chatting. because even though you're a newspaper guy and an improv guy, you're pretty cool, I have to admit,
Thank you, Devin. You're cool
and
too.
well, I'm a bobsledder. It comes with the territory, man.
Yeah,
What can I
it's
say?
like, is there an uncool bobsledder? Is there a guy that
I'm
is
not
there
met one
is there
yet.
ever a guy that went, that bobsledder guy over there? Uncool.
Yeah,
Totally uncool.
well, we do operate in a cold environment for starters.
Yeah.
So
you're naturally cool is what you're saying.
yeah, well, just again goes with the territory. So
Yeah,
my
I don't
man,
think there's ever been an uncool bobsledder. But it's been an honor talking to you too, Devin. This is a lot of fun. I love talking to successful people and learning about them and connecting and and you inspire me and it's just it's awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
yeah, man, thank you. So you do epitomize the keep on pushing philosophy, my friend. The growth, the stick to itiveness, staying in the game is what we're all about here. Thank you for sharing that philosophy, your wisdom, and your experiences. Keep on pushing.
Awesome. Thank you.